Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought I'd be the woman telling this kind of story. You know, the kind that you hear about from a friend of a friend, the kind that makes you shake your head and say, that could never happen to me. But here I am. And trust me, I wish I wasn't. It all started on what seemed like a completely normal evening. I was coming home earlier than expected, excited, even. I had picked up my husband's favorite dessert on the way, thinking we could have a quiet night together. Lately, things had felt a little off between us. He had been distant, distracted, his phone always glued to his hand. I told myself it was just work stress, that I was overthinking things. But deep down, a small, nagging voice in my head told me otherwise. As I stepped into our apartment, I noticed something unusual right away. The lights were dimmed, and soft music played in the background, something romantic, something intimate. My heart pounded. Was he planning a surprise for me? That thought flickered through my mind for only a second before reality hit me like a train. Then, I heard it, soft laughter coming from our bedroom. A voice that wasn't mine. My breath caught in my throat as I crept closer, every step feeling heavier than the last. My hands trembled as I reached for the door, my mind racing with 1,000 explanations, excuses, anything but the truth I was about to face. And then, I saw them. My husband. With her. A woman I didn't recognize, draped across our bed as if she belonged there. The shock was instant, like ice running through my veins. My world tilted, my chest tightened, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to make sense of the betrayal unfolding in front of me. But all I could do was stand there, frozen in place, as my husband turned to me, his eyes wide with the same shock I felt, as if he were the victim here. And that's when everything changed. That was the moment I realized the man I had trusted, the man I had built my life with, had been living a lie. What would you have done in my place? Would you have confronted him right then and there? Or walked away without a word? Let me know in the comments. I need to hear your thoughts on this. And stay tuned, because this story is far from over. I stood there, my heart pounding so hard it echoed in my ears. My hands felt cold, my body frozen in place, but my mind was racing, searching for an explanation, some kind of reason that could make this moment feel less like a nightmare. But there was none. The look on my husband's face said it all. Shock. Guilt. Maybe even a little fear. The woman beside him scrambled, grabbing for the sheets, her face flushing as she turned away. She didn't even look at me, as if avoiding eye contact would somehow erase what I had just seen. But I wasn't looking at her, I couldn't take my eyes off him. The man I had loved. The man I had trusted. The man I thought I knew. For a long, painful moment, none of us spoke. The silence was heavier than any words could have been. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to breathe, to stay standing when all I wanted to do was fall apart. My mind flickered back to all the signs I had ignored. The late nights at work. The sudden change in his phone habits, always keeping it face down, taking calls in the other room. The moments of distance between us, the way he had started treating me more like a roommate than a wife. I had asked him about it. I had given him the chance to tell me if something was wrong. But every time, he had smiled, kissed my forehead, and told me I was overthinking. You know I love you, right? He had said just last week. I had believed him. I had wanted to believe him. And now, I didn't even know who he was. Finally, he moved, stepping forward as if he was about to say something. But I held up a hand, stopping him. I wasn't ready to hear whatever excuse, whatever half-truth was about to come out of his mouth. I needed time to think, to process, to breathe. I turned and walked out of the bedroom. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell or cry. I just walked away, feeling like I was outside of my own body, watching myself from a distance. I found myself in the kitchen, gripping the counter to keep myself steady. The air felt thick, heavy. I stared at the small cake I had bought for him, the one I had picked up on my way home, excited to surprise him. How ironic. I had been planning a moment of love, and instead, I had walked into the biggest betrayal of my life. I didn't know how long I stood there before I heard his footsteps. Slow. Hesitant. I turned to face him as he entered the kitchen, his expression unreadable. "Please," he said, his voice soft, almost pleading. "Let me explain." Explain? What was there to explain? But part of me needed to hear it. Even though I knew no excuse could undo what I had seen, I needed to understand how we got here. Should I have let him speak? Or should I have walked away for good? Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? I stared at him, my fingers tightening against the edge of the counter. The kitchen felt smaller, the walls pressing in around me, but I wasn't going to let him see how much this was breaking me. He had already taken too much. Explain? I repeated, my voice surprisingly steady. Explain what, exactly? His eyes darted away for a moment, like he was scrambling for the right words. He always had a way of talking himself out of trouble, charming, smooth, always knowing exactly what to say. But this time, there was no easy way out. "It's not what you think," he started, his voice low. I let out a hollow laugh. "Oh, really? Because I think I just walked into our bedroom and found my husband with another woman. So, please, explain how that's something I could possibly misunderstand." He exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. He looked tired, stressed. But I didn't care. Whatever guilt he was feeling now was nothing compared to what I was feeling. Then, for the first time, I realized something. I didn't even know who she was. "Who is she?" I asked, my stomach twisting. "Someone from work? Someone you met online? Or has she been in our lives this whole time without me even noticing?" He hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. My breath hitched. "Oh my God," I whispered. "How long?" His silence stretched between us, and suddenly, I felt sick. This wasn't some mistake. This wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. It was bigger than that. And then, just when I thought I couldn't take any more, the front door opened. I turned sharply, my heart stopping for a second. And there she was. Ha! The same woman I had seen in my bedroom not long ago. She had left, but now she was back. Why? The tension in the room spiked, and for a moment, none of us moved. My husband's face paled, and the woman, now standing in the doorway, shifted nervously, her gaze flicking between us. "What is she doing here?" I demanded. And then, she spoke. "I needed to talk to you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "To me. Not to him." I glanced at my husband, whose expression was unreadable now. But something in her tone made my stomach churn. Was this more than just an affair? Was there something I didn't know? Tell me in the comments, what do you think she's about to say? And should I even listen to her? I felt the air shift in the room, thick with tension. My husband wouldn't look at me, and the woman, his mistress, stood there, wringing her hands like she was the one who had something to be afraid of. My pulse pounded in my ears, but I forced myself to stay still, to breathe, to listen. "You wanted to talk to me?" I repeated, narrowing my eyes at her. "Why? What could you possibly have to say?" She hesitated, glancing at my husband, as if silently asking for permission to speak. That only made me angrier. "Don't look at him. Talk to me." My voice was sharp, but I didn't care. I deserved answers. She swallowed hard, then finally spoke. "I didn't know about you," she said softly. "Not at first." Something inside me twisted. Not at first. That meant she knew now. And yet, she was still standing here, still tangled up in my life. "I swear, I never meant to hurt you," she continued. "But there's something you don't know. Something you need to know." My husband stiffened. "Don't," he said quickly. His voice was firm, almost desperate. And that was the moment I realized he was scared. Whatever she was about to say, it wasn't just about cheating. It was bigger. I felt my breath catch. "What is it?" I asked, my voice quieter now. I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. She shifted uncomfortably. I found something out a few weeks ago. And when I confronted him, he begged me not to tell you. But I can't keep it a secret anymore." My heart pounded. "Tell me what?" She opened her mouth to speak, and then my husband grabbed her wrist. "Enough." His voice cracked through the room like thunder. She gasped, yanking her arm free, her eyes wide with fear. And for the first time, I felt it too. A cold, creeping fear that told me I was standing in the middle of something far worse than just an affair. My voice came out as a whisper. "What are you hiding?" My husband turned to me, his jaw tight, his face pale. For the first time that night, he looked truly afraid. And then, the woman's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her face draining of color. "They know," she whispered. "They're coming." Who? Who was coming? What do you think she meant? And what is my husband hiding? Let me know in the comments. The truth is about to come out. The room felt like it had frozen in time. My husband's face was pale, his fists clenched at his sides. The woman, this stranger who had somehow become part of my life without me even knowing, stood gripping her phone like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "They know. They're coming." I swallowed hard, my stomach twisting. "Who?" My voice came out hoarse, barely above a whisper. She looked up at me, hesitation flickering in her eyes, but before she could answer, my husband stepped forward. "Don't listen to her," he snapped. "She's trying to make this bigger than it is. We just need to talk alone." His voice was sharp, commanding, but underneath it, I could hear something else. Fear. I shook my head, taking a step back. "No," I said, my voice firm. "I'm done listening to you." My gaze flicked to the woman. "You started this. Finish it. Who's coming?" She hesitated, then looked down at her phone, her hands trembling. "I don't know exactly who they are," she admitted, her voice shaky. "But I know they've been watching. And they know we know." Watching? The word sent a chill through me. My husband let out a sharp breath, rubbing his temples like this was all just some inconvenience. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. "She's paranoid. None of this has anything to do with you." That was the moment I realized something. He wasn't trying to deny the affair. He wasn't even denying that something was going on. He was just trying to keep me out of it. Like it was too late for him, but not for me. And that terrified me. I turned back to the woman. "Tell me everything." She nodded quickly, glancing toward the front door like she was expecting someone to barge in at any second. "I met him months ago," she admitted. "I didn't know he was married at first. But then things started getting strange. He'd get phone calls late at night and leave the room. He told me to never ask questions. And then a few weeks ago, I found something I shouldn't have seen." My husband's entire body tensed. "That's enough." His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the panic creeping in. I ignored him. "What did you find?" She hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small flash drive. "This." I stared at it, my heart hammering. "What's on it?" Her grip tightened around it. "I don't know exactly. But whatever it is, it's the reason they're coming. It's the reason he was so desperate to keep me quiet." She turned to my husband. "Isn't it?" His jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Then, 3 sharp knocks on the front door. We all froze. My husband's face drained of color. He took a slow step back, his entire posture shifting, not like a guilty man, but like a trapped one. And that's when I knew whatever was on that flash drive, it was dangerous. Who was at the door? And what had my husband gotten himself into? Let me know what you think in the comments. This is far from over. The 3 knocks echoed through the apartment like a countdown. My breath caught in my throat. No one moved. The air was thick with tension, with unspoken fears none of us were ready to face. My husband's hands clenched at his sides. The woman, her fingers still wrapped around the flash drive, took a shaky step back. Another knock. Harder this time. Whoever was out there wasn't going away. I looked at my husband. "Who is it?" My voice was barely above a whisper. His jaw was tight, his eyes darting toward the door. He didn't answer. Panic churned inside me. Was this some kind of setup? Had I just been dragged into something much bigger than an affair? I wasn't sure what scared me more, the fact that my husband had been lying to me for God knows how long, or the fact that I still didn't know what he was hiding. Then, before I could react, the woman moved. She rushed toward the window, pulling back the curtain just enough to peek outside. Her face went pale. "They're not alone," she whispered. A chill ran down my spine. I reached for my phone, my fingers shaking. "I'm calling the police." "No." My husband's voice was sharp, desperate. He stepped toward me, his eyes pleading. "You don't understand. If you call them, it'll be worse." "Worse?" My voice broke. What could possibly be worse than this? Before he could answer, the doorknob twisted. Someone was trying to get in. I stepped back, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. My husband moved quickly, rushing to the door and pressing his back against it. "We have to go," he said. "Now." The woman hesitated for only a second before nodding. She grabbed my wrist, pulling me toward the back door. My mind was spinning, my body moving on instinct. Then, just as we reached the exit, my husband called out, "Wait." I turned. His face was unreadable, his body tense, like he was standing on the edge of something he couldn't escape. And then, in the chaos, he whispered something I almost didn't catch. "I did it for you." Before I could process what that meant, the door burst open. And everything changed. What was my husband hiding? What did he mean? Tell me your theories in the comments. The truth is coming, but are you ready for it? The door burst open, and everything seemed to move in slow motion. A group of men in dark suits stormed in, their expressions unreadable. My husband didn't flinch. He just stood there, as if he had been expecting this all along. One of the men stepped forward. "It's over," he said, his voice calm but firm. I looked at my husband, my heart pounding. "What did you do?" I whispered. He exhaled, his shoulders slumping as if the weight of his secrets had finally crushed him. "I was trying to protect you," he said. "I got involved in something I shouldn't have. I thought I could fix it before it got to this point, but..." He trailed off, shaking his head. The woman beside me tightened her grip on the flash drive. "It's all here," she said, holding it out. "Everything they need to know." The man in the suit nodded, taking it from her. "We'll take it from here." I turned to my husband. My mind flashed back to the love we once had, the life we had built. And then to the betrayal, the lies, the danger. Could I ever forgive him? Could I ever trust him again? His eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw the truth. He had been lying to me, yes. But in his own, twisted way, he really had been trying to protect me. He had just done it in the worst possible way. As the men led him away, he didn't resist. He just looked at me one last time and said, "I never meant to hurt you." And then, he was gone. The apartment felt eerily quiet. The woman beside me let out a shaky breath. "Are you okay?" she asked. I wasn't sure how to answer that. I wasn't okay. But I would be. One way or another, I would move forward. I turned to her. "Come on," I said. "Let's get out of here." And with that, I walked away from the life I thought I knew, ready to start over. What do you think? Did my husband deserve forgiveness? Would you have stayed or walked away? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see what happens next, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned.